Welcome to the Twilight Lounge. This is good for the Jews, and we are the Jews. He is Eric Goldbrenner.
Shalom.
I am Larry Rosen, and as we were discussing before we got on mic, I am completely out of whack. You know the easiest way to tell that I'm out of whack? Look at my shoes. Would I wear shoes like this with jeans? Nope.
You wouldn't?
Nope. These are my
Those are workout shoes?
These are the workout shoes.
I'm wearing workout shoes with jeans and I don't work out, so it seems natural.
Those aren't really workout shoes. Those are more of like a trail shoe you've got there.
Well, they're not big black boots.
Oh, yeah. God, there was a time in my life when I thought, how will I not wear Doc Martens for the rest of my life? They're the best shoe in the whole entire world. I wore them with shorts.
Really?
I wore them with everything every
never
day.
Owned Dr. Martens?
8-hole Doc Martens. Yep.
Really? 8-hole? I never owned Doc Martens.
God, I loved them. Loved them.
Or Timberlands.
Timberlands is more of an ethnic thing.
Really?
Well, I guess. Yeah, you're
Weaver.
ethnic. Yeah.
Doc Martens associated with Pete Townsend and ska music. I like that.
Right,
you know?
right.
That's good. That's good association. Punk rock.
It was kind of punk rock. I mean, that's about as punk rock as I got. The leather jacket, the Doc Martens, and the shorts.
Did you wear the shorts that like come to the middle of your calf?
Well, no. Remember, this is Seattle in the 1990s, where everyone would wear like they'd be like army surplus military shorts.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
And the Doc Martens, and the plaid shirt tied around the waist.
Right.
And what's the one missing element from me now that would make it impossible to recreate that scenario?
Hair?
Yes. Wow. Glorious, glorious hair.
You'd be like an oi boy.
Moment of silence for my hair. Okay, it's not coming back. I come to you today.
Well, we established before. It's
that's
true.
It's just relocated. God, that sucks. But I don't want to dwell on that because I come to you today with a host of first world problems.
Yeah.
And it's not even, well, it is noon. But as you can see, I'm dressed sort of weird because I made that mistake last night of thinking I got a sort of a hectic morning going. Should I just take a shower at the gym?
Larry, you look like a normal person.
I'm not even wearing a belt.
No one can tell. Your shirt's untucked. You look put together.
No t-shirt, no belt, wrong shoes.
For those of you who can't see, he looks normal. He's got a shirt that matches his blue jeans, matches his shoes. The color in his shoes matches the stripe in his shirt.
But you know what?
Put together here.
When I was driving over, the thing that makes me the angriest, I went to the gym, it was foggy, packed up these jeans, came out of the gym 74 degrees. I was like,
well,
there is an opportunity to be wearing shorts right now that I am not capitalizing on.
Had you taken the shorts, it would have remained foggy. You know that.
That's true. And of course I thought as I was driving here in my long pants, mad, I have never seen Eric Goldbrenner in shorts.
And you never will.
Really?
Unless
Why?
I'm having surgery or
Okay,
something.
explain to me the, no, then you'd be wearing a little, the little dress thing, little tunic. Explain to me the genesis of your decision to never wear shorts.
I don't like to wear shorts. I'll wear shorts if it's over 90 degrees. I have no legs.
What keeps you off the
ground?
ground?
Look at me. What kind of legs do you have?
Look
at my arm and imagine what my leg looks like.
I would think that your legs would be in proportion. I'm not talking about your legs.
They are.
You look like, an apple on sticks. I think they'd be perfectly in proportion.
No, I look like a stick on sticks.
God,
I look like a pack of spaghetti. What can I tell you?
That is not a first world problem, but a happy problem.
Yeah, to be honest, I get chilly even if there's any sort of breeze. And hey, I am a Semitic man. I mean, any breeze blowing through my leg hair is like a total distraction. It's like I'm being stimulated.
I've never noticed that, but maybe it's because I've been so beholden to shorts for so long that it's sort of become part of me. I like it. I like the shorts. I always like the shorts. In Seattle, we'd wear shorts if it got above 60. Shorts and a giant sweatshirt.
I've seen that when I'm in the Northwest.
Yeah. And then with the socks, the big wool socks they wear. I don't know if they still do
Smart
that.
Wool.
Back in the day, they'd wear, the sock. It wasn't even smart. It was dumb wool. Like my dog, dumb.
Wool socks actually keep your feet quite comfortable all the time.
Unless they get wet. Then it's all over.
Well, it's cotton socks are even worse.
Cotton is death when it gets cold.
You get freezy.
Other first world problems. So here's the problem this morning. The guys started on the bathroom remodel today. So I had to sort of juggle that, figure out how to get out of the house, go to the gym, come here. I'm at the gym. I get the text from the cleaning ladies. The water has been turned off. How do we clean the house? And I thought,
that's a good question.
That is a really good question that, fortunately, I didn't have to answer because the water miraculously came back on while we were texting.
Who's home supervising this whole mess?
Shaq.
Oh, okay.
And as we established, he's not very smart.
Right.
Boy, he was down there this morning just kind of snaking his way in and out of the plumbers and stuff, just checking it out.
Oh, yeah.
I had to bring him up.
Job.
I'm actually worried that in all this chaos that he'll escape, but
Where's he gonna go? In the backyard and face the raccoon?
Well, no, he's gonna he'll go across the street because there's this woman who lives across the street who's sort of I think she was an animated Disney princess at one point, and then she brought to life. She made some sort of a deal, maybe like Pinocchio.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah.
And she leaves out. She has a little station with treats for the dogs.
Yeah, because in her world, like feeding stray animals and all that, it's like a good deed.
Right. And so he goes there and patiently waits for someone to give him a treat,
which he gets, right?
Generally. But that's good. Otherwise, he'll run to the pet store. He's completely motivated by food. Yeah, he'll go to the pet store.
So he's got a little rotation.
When we first got,
get a snack.
When he was a puppy, he got out, and I got a phone call from a woman about a mile away that he was there, and I had to go get him. And I thought, how many people saw this ridiculous-looking little dog walking down the street without anyone around him and did nothing?
And said,
that's weird. There's a corgi walking down the street.
He's the wrong color to be, a raccoon or a badger or some other.
Does this neighborhood have feral dogs?
Possum. Yeah, what is he?
So they just let him go.
An orange skunk. That's weird.
So hopefully he has not escaped. Hopefully he is still sitting in his post. My last first world problem of the day is really an indictment of myself.
Oh, it's something new this time. Good.
Yeah, unlike most problems, it's not that are also indictments of myself. I have a bad habit. I'm in charge of the laundry at our house.
Is that my cue?
No.
You're going to tell me about your bad habit?
I'm going to tell you. I don't want you to fill in the blank there. One of my many bad habits is that I tend to forget things when I do the laundry. Things go through the laundry. Occasionally.
Oh, that shouldn't?
Right. Occasionally, one of my valued Pilot V5 fine tip pens goes through, leaving black dots on everything.
In the laundry. Bad. Yeah.
Sometimes pack of gum. Almost as bad. Well, sometimes almost, or actually, it's not a pack of gum, but a chewed up piece of gum in a piece of foil in your pocket.
Good. That's not good.
Yeah, that's a bad one. But the worst one was my iPod.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding. I've done it 3 times now.
3 times?
3 times on
iPod.
Man. Lionel Richie would love. He's inspired to write a song about iPod.
Like all
I don't even know if
goes in its place.
Do you have an iPod?
Well, I got like a dozen iPods.
Okay.
I got an iPhone. I got,
everything goes in its place with me too. Unfortunately, I left out Fitbits. Those go through the laundry too.
What are those?
That's that little thing you get to count your steps that everybody seems to have. I had 3. One I lost at the gym. One broke. One went through the laundry. After that, it was decreed that I would no longer have Fitbits.
Yeah, because usually those things go obsolete before you break them.
Break them or run through. But here's the connection that I've been using my iPod as a Fitbit. So it's in my pocket.
It's got an app. There's an app for that, right?
It's in my pocket. I want to get all the steps I can, so it's always in my pocket.
So you're running around in a circle.
And then I'm changing out of my gym stuff with it in my pocket. And I'm stressed out trying to, I got to start laundry. Throw it in the laundry. Take the laundry out, and I hear what sounds like a coin in the bottom of the washer. And it's not a coin, it's my iPod.
That sucks.
It's not a very old iPod either. So,
do you think it could survive that? I mean, is there a way
here's what you do. Do you know what you do?
You put it in a bag of rice.
Yes! That's where it is now.
It's better to put it in a proper desiccant. I mean, rice is one thing.
Silica gel?
Yeah.
I don't have silica gel. I have
you
rice.
Go to the camera store. Oh, wait. There is no such thing anymore.
Hey, my dad used to run a camera store.
Really? Was that before or after he shot his knee off?
Before.
Okay.
Yeah. That was his retirement job.
Yeah?
Yep.
Cameras are cool.
Cameras were cool. It was pretty cool.
But they've gone the way of
bookstores,
many other mechanical things. No, like
video
many
stores.
other mechanical things have been supplanted by, the electronics. I mean...
This is true. As I tell my child, who is obsessed, who didn't get very happy last night when I told him, you know what? You've been staring at a screen from the minute you got home until bedtime.
Dad, I've been staring at a screen from the minute I was born.
Right.
This is a new world.
That's what I fell asleep telling myself last night. It's a new world. Don't freak out. It's a new world. It's fine.
Yep. He
will get everything from this screen. I just have... this is the screen that I'm looking at right now is a page. It's not that different from looking at an actual screen. Although maybe they'll find out someday the screen does bad things to your eyes, or aliens are sending you messages through your, through the whatever.
That's possible.
Anyway, they're both inert activities, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate inertia.
Yeah, me too.
No, what are you talking about? You're on the Fitbit. You're in the gym.
Dude, I have so much inertia. If I were to run somewhere and try to turn, I'd be like John Candy in Stripes and wouldn't be able to make it around the corner and just keep going straight.
You're not good on
There's
corner.
a lot of weight here. Anyway, so that's kind of my deal today. And then I forgot to bring my notebook with all my notes on it.
So you're out of sorts.
I'm out of sorts. I'm out of whack. I wish I was in shorts, and failing that, I wish I was wearing a belt and different shoes. My iPod, as far as we know it, is dead.
Yeah. See, here's how we're different. It's like if I were in that mode, I just wouldn't care. You know what I mean? It's like I go on vacation and I forget something, and I'm just like, well, whatever. I'll just figure it out. So I don't have shoes.
Yeah, well, you don't sweat the small things, and I do.
There I am wearing, my dress shoes at the beach. Whatever. Or I'll get flip-flops at the corner store. Whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, why do you let that stuff throw you?
Well, let me ask you this.
You look presentable. You look decent.
Let me ask you
this. No one
this.
can tell from looking at you. It's all in your head.
If your iPod went through the wash, what would your wife say?
I don't think she'd say anything.
That's why we're different.
Oh, is your wife like...
I get a little treatise about how often I run things through the wash and how dumb that is.
Well, you could come up with a little bit of a process.
And here's the emasculating part. I'll get that, and then we'll go buy another one.
Okay, let me tell you something. I would buy another one. I mean, I'd end up at the buy another one. You got to.
What am I going to do?
Have one.
I used my phone today, and it's got like 60% left after just listening to one podcast at the gym.
Yeah, right. You have to.
Plus, I don't have the best of luck with phones either. Not that they go through the wash.
And iPod's the same thing. I mean,
but the phone issues are entirely different. I had the phone get stolen.
Uh-huh.
The iPhone 4S, 1 month in, boom, stolen, leading us on an odyssey of used phone purchases that broke.
You need to get the self-destruct app.
I think I have a personal self-destruct app.
No, this is an app that you call your phone and it blows up whoever stole your phone. It's like
Does that really exist?
No, but it could sell, don't you think?
I think my child would invent it.
There's probably the FCC or something, probably.
Well, I got insurance on this one when I bought it, so if anything happens to this iPhone...
Yeah, but you have to have it. If it gets stolen, they don't insure it, right?
They don't?
So if you break it...
I don't know.
Because they have to have the phone back if they're going to replace it.
Ah, shoot. Well...
Because my kid's broken so many phones. I've broken a few, too.
My kid has not broken any phones. I'm kind of surprised by that.
If he's sitting there stationary staring at the
right,
thing,
that's true.
Broken.
Because it's always on.
It's always in his lap.
I don't know how he doesn't lose it. I went into his room this morning because I was embarrassed that the cleaning ladies would see his room in the state it's in. And I said, "You need to clean your room." I gotta go to work, man.
So
maybe you should have gotten up 10 minutes earlier.
She's kind of like your doctor.
She doesn't need to spend 10 minutes picking up Pokemon cards on the floor.
Well, it's good living. I mean, if you think about it.
No, I should spend 10 minutes picking up Pokemon. But I'm amazed. Like, his room is this tangle of cords and devices, and it's truly amazing.
He's technological.
He is very technological. But I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, I put everything in the same place. I never lose stuff.
Right. I rarely lose stuff, honestly. But, I rarely go out of the house, so I have an unfair advantage.
I've gotten better. And I do keep everything in the same place. And it's funny, my vacation same place is actually more effective than my home same place. My vacation same place is a baseball cap.
You put everything in a baseball cap?
Every night.
Oh, like you put down your cap and everything
goes in it.
That's
perfect.
Right. I put everything in my shoe.
Okay.
Which is kind of gross sometimes.
It's kind of gross. And where do you keep your shoe?
Put the shoes on the floor. Like if I'm...
I put the baseball cap on my night table.
Oh, well, like if I crash at your house or something like that, if just like, whatever, man, can I just stay here? Yeah. I take off my shoes and my socks, and I fold up my socks. I put my socks in one shoe. I empty my pockets, put in another shoe. Take off my trousers, roll them up neatly, put them on top of my shoe. Take off my shirt, fold it nice, put on top of my pants. And kind of everything's this little pack, neat and orderly. That's how I do it.
Do you have? But you don't have problems with like attention and losing things. I do. No. Like I've had when I go to the gym. Here's what I have to do on the bike.
Yeah.
So I go to the gym and I remove as much sensory input as possible. I listen headphones.
Right.
Take off the glasses.
Okay.
Can't see or hear anybody.
Okay.
It's kind of nice. But when I get on the bike, I have to put glasses first, gloves. Workout.
You don't want
lifting gloves.
Dirty, gross thing?
No, for when you're lifting gloves, when you're on the bike, you don't need them. Well, I lose gloves like every week, so I had to start doing glasses, gloves, towel. That way, I can't get to the glasses without the gloves.
Well, that's smart.
And I'm not going to leave without the glasses.
You wear like a little workout pack or something. Put all your stuff in your pack.
Are you kidding? Like a fanny pack?
Yeah.
Well, now we're talking cultural differences here.
Oh, you're too vain to take practical steps to actually secure your property.
No, I understand the realities of the gym. If I were to show up in a fanny pack, that would make me the 70-year-old guy. I'm not going to do it. It's just not going to happen.
Accelerate your age.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. And I pride myself on at least pushing that inevitable cusp further and further by not wearing little tiny shorts.
You don't wear those little tiny bike shorts, you think?
No, what you do is...
I would wear those. I would, like, if I ride a bike, I got this thing that's like little tight bike shorts with a long what do you call it, like a tank top style t-shirt attached to the shorts.
Well, I think
big swollen pad on the tuchus. So
you should know that I just crossed ride a bike with Eric Goldbrenner off my bucket list.
I haven't been biking for like 5 years, but that's
cycling.
The story. Yeah, that.
No, I'm not going to wear little tiny clothes. I don't come from that culture. I come from a bigger clothes culture. I do wear the underwear that's like that.
It's not really.
The lycra underwear.
Doesn't concern me.
And then the big shorts over that.
Yeah.
How did I get there?
Yeah, it's a lot more information than
I'm
actually
though,
interested in.
Though I lost my notes, there was something that occurred to me this weekend that is sort of in sort of jives with what we're talking about.
In keeping with your lycra underwear.
I was wearing my lycra underwear all weekend. We went to Santa Cruz, which is not a place I need to go.
Yeah, well, it has a certain charm. I stay at the
so
beach.
Many, I could. Oh, the last day, like so many people. I'm tired of people that life has beaten up badly enough that they look like they want to beat me up.
Yeah, it is kind of like, a sort of tattooed, toothless methamphetamine type
Correct.
of place.
And someone told me, who was it that told us this? Oh, these guys we golf with. They're like, oh, that's not normal. It's July 4th. Fresno empties out and comes to Santa Cruz over July 4th weekend.
Yeah.
I said, okay. We were staying at this gorgeous hotel, right? Right on the water.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
The boy and his buddy, boardwalk, gone.
Yeah.
So we're hanging out
That's
at the
perfect.
pool. We're hanging out poolside. And it's just unbelievable. They got little guys, valets there, like, oh, can we get you anything? They got a bar right by the pool.
Give me my iPod.
Yeah, well, I had it then. It was in the beach, like pool, then beach. It was incredible.
Right, yeah,
Every night I slept, door open to hear the waves. It was gorgeous, but we're sitting down there at the pool. It's July 3rd? No, it's July 4th now. And here come the Jews. Spotted them from a mile away.
Sure.
Frizzy hair, overweight, weird clothes.
Talking loud.
Are you going to get a beach chair? Because,
Right.
I can't sit on that striped chair because it gives me the straps marks on my leg.
Right, and the kids were just kind of off a little bit. Maybe fanny packs, I don't know. And next to them, there's the white people. Sleek. Beautiful. awful people. Just awful people.
Right.
But I was
The Anglos.
Yeah, and I was looking at the wives who maybe shouldn't be wearing bikinis, but stylish bikinis anyway.
Yeah.
The husband's golf stuff.
Right. Head to toe golfing.
Drinking fruity drinks, the kids' beautiful children, acting like they own the place.
Yeah.
And there I was looking out at this from our little, with sort of one foot in both worlds. And it made me think about assimilation, which is always thought of as, like that is the death knell of Judaism, right? It's always thought of as we're terrible for the Jews. We should never assimilate. Although we have to a certain... And I was thinking...
I know, that's... I'm not so sure I agree with that.
Okay, well that's what I want. But that's what
I
I want to talk about because I thought about assimilation and what it's meant to me, and I've really been really devoted to it.
Doing a fine job.
Yes, I've been really devoted to it. But I think all I can remember about the notes I took on this were total assimilation is impossible, as is not assimilating at all.
Well, first of all, you're sitting here and you're defining assimilation as being a counter
A very
to
narrow
what you
thing,
observed to be the Nebushi Jew. The Jews you identified were basically Nebushes. I mean, you didn't see, a bunch of dark, tan, handsome, muscle-bound Israelis walking in.
Oh.
Like they own the place, arrogant, without any care for anyone else.
That
in
is
the
a
world.
really good...
Hey, I'm going to sit here, okay?
Okay, but...
And say, oh, they're the Jews.
But we're talking about American Jews then.
What you're talking about Nebushes is what you're talking about. You're not talking about American Jews like, James Franco type of guys.
Bart Benton.
Good looking,
I
really
think Franco's
intelligent.
half.
Whatever,
I would say there's a preponderance among our race
Oh, watch it.
of Nebuchadnezzar people.
There's
Who are really smart.
Nebuchadnezzar Street.
Really, really smart people.
Yeah.
Who sometimes don't know how to act.
Yeah, right. I know you're saying they grate on our nerves. They're antisocial. They're inappropriate. You're talking about that particular stereotype.
And in doing so, I'm being a self-hating Jew. I know, but that's sort of...
Well, we can identify what this is. I'm sure people will relate and understand what we're talking about.
Right.
We don't have to put a value judgment.
And let's not forget where I grew up. Surrounded by white people.
It was like, where was it? It was Pennsylvania.
No, the other half, Orange County.
It was Orange County. It was Washington. Jesus.
I'm glad you take such an interest in my life, Eric.
But,
I know exactly. I could probably tell you the street you grew up in Pacifica.
We lived there for 20 years. They never moved anywhere.
And you went to, then you didn't go to the other high school. You went to Oceania. What is it, Oceania?
Oceana.
Oceana, yeah. You didn't go to, what's the other one? Terra Nova. You went to Oceana, sure.
Yep.
Which is where Rob Schneider went to high school, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Speaking of Nebuch.
who listens when the other guy talks?
Well, who goes home with these things and listens to them over and over and over until he flushes, his memory stick down the washing machine. I mean...
That's one thing I haven't sent through the laundry yet.
You come here, we do the show, you go out the door. I'm supposed to remember every single thing that came out your mouth?
We have had a lot of conversations away from here discussing our respective backgrounds.
I remember the whole New York thing.
A little bit. What New York thing? I didn't live in New York.
What was it, New Jersey? Is it
No,
Pennsylvania? Yeah.
I'm talking about when we moved to California. When I was 11,
That
for
was
those
Orange
of you
County, right?
who aren't my mom,
Wasn't Newport Beach. That was another guy. Another guy who looked like you.
it was inland Orange County, but it was still Orange County surrounded by white people. So whatever I say about my feelings about assimilation are obviously colored, no pun intended, by all the white people I grew up with.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And I don't know. And I was always... I think I just read recently someone saying that assimilation is the greatest threat to the Jews in America. But what do they mean by assimilation?
I don't. It
we got here. We got here, and it seems like I don't even know because I've always thought it seemed like we got here, and we were pretty determined to assimilate. Speak English.
The people,
or we didn't.
The majority of the Jews that came to America were already seeking assimilation because most American Jews,
Reform movement.
Not even most American. Okay, Reform movement, as I mentioned previously, came out of Germany, essentially, in that part, Germany and that part of the world in the 1800s. Mm-hmm. Okay, but the majority of American Jews do not trace their roots back to the German Jews. They trace their roots back to the Russian, Ukrainian Jews, and the majority of those Russian Ukrainian Jews came over around the time of the Russian Revolution, before. They were the shtetl Jews. They came before the Russian Revolution, and they were essentially communists, socialists. They're the ones we're always railing on. The red diaper Jews, babies. The Bundists, and all that. Those were assimilationist movements. I'm sorry, those movements were all about trying to create one people where people are not separated by national or cultural identity. The main difference between people they believed was class, and they bought into this whole notion of a classless society. Well, that sort of
blew up in the last 30 years, huh?
Well, I never believed it. Maybe I believed it.
No, I didn't mean the classless society. I mean the one where there is no color and no race and no ethnicity, where everyone's the same.
Yeah, well,
Nobody wants that.
Who wants that? What makes that interesting? I mean, where's the spice of life in that? I mean, it's like, it seems obvious to me. I meet a Chinese person, Filipino person, black, Mexican, you name it. It's obvious what we have in common. Our shared humanity is obvious. We all know human nature. Everyone laughs at the same jokes because we all get how people are.
Yeah.
So now we all have to, say, like, we have to have some kind of cultural thing where a hot dog and an egg roll is equated. I mean, I just don't understand this desire. What I'm trying to say is try to create this cultural kind of norm where homogeneity.
When we're actually sui generis. I just wanted to say sui generis.
What does that mean?
We have our own. We are singular.
Sui generis?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a sui genericist. I don't want to sui genericize
you can be a sui genericist. But
so sui generis me. Anyway, no. My point's this: like that whole idea of there was a socialist communist ideal of eliminating culture. And the Soviet Union...
Really, that was part of it.
That was part of the whole communist revolution, the Bolshevik ideals, was getting rid of culture, right? The Soviet Union is no longer a union of different nations, Kazakh people, Turkmen people, Georgian people, Armenian, Azerbaijani people, right? We're all the same people. All the class differences between us have been erased, and therefore we're all the same. Any cultural distinction, is an arbitrary thing designed to separate us. We're going to suppress it.
Is that a basic tenet of that belief?
It's a basic
or
tenet.
Is it's not a secondary one? It seems like...
It's a basic tenet, and that's why they practice thought control.
It seems bizarre that they would want to hammer that out.
It is bizarre. They use that as a pretext to impose the Russian language on people, impose the Russian
Well, joke's on them
people.
if the shtetl Jews get here and with that set of values and then find that having that set of values makes them not assimilated.
But I don't think it's actually consistent with American values. I think
that's what I mean.
Yeah, I think the Jewish immigrants of like the late 1800s, early 1900s kind of brought this mindset, and some of it took. Like the whole labor.
But I don't.
That took.
Yeah.
But the whole.
But what percentage are we talking about here? Because I think there's a parallel narrative of shtetl Jews who came here for the Promised Land.
Well, yeah, they all came from
work hard, get ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys.
And I think they're the same people.
The communists and the work hard, get ahead guys.
No, I don't think they were truly the ones who came here were communists. I'm saying that social mindset of we're basically just like everyone else. We don't have to be a separate and distinct people living in our shtetls.
So how much of that is
fit right in and mix right in? I think that's what they brought.
Do you think a certain part of that is not ideological though? It's a survival tactic.
It's cultural.
But a survival tactic too, to come here and let's iron it all out and let's be part of this now. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Because if I think of assimilation as it relates to me, it's a survival tactic. Iron it all out.
I see what you're saying.
Okay.
Okay.
Be like them. The people you're talking about, I don't think a survival tactic would have occurred to them. I think they would hit the ground running and saying, all right, we're here now. We got this ideology. Let's make it work.
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word ideology, and I think they definitely got here and bought into.
How can you say communism isn't an ideology?
No, because let me be clear. I'm not the Russian Jews who came here in the early 1900s. I'm not saying they were all communists.
Didn't they come ahead of communism?
They came mostly to flee the pogroms, which preceded the Bolshevik Revolution. But I'm saying the idea, the socialist idea, was brewing and percolating and infecting the mindset of those people at that time, and they brought that mindset here. So it's just part of their... So what I'm saying is they were already thinking in terms of assimilation when they were back in Russia. That is, let us not be a separate and distinct people living alone in our shtetls in Russia. Let us enter the mainstream society. And the socialist ideal is an ideal because it is an ideal that promises us that opportunity. Now they got to America. I'm not saying they came here and they're communists, but I'm saying they brought that socialist mindset with them. They brought the assimilationist mindset with them. If you assimilate in America and if you work hard, you actually can achieve something. I think they saw the golden opportunity. I think they came for the opportunity and they succeeded. But I also think they brought this ideal of, we can be part of the mainstream society. We don't have to be separate, despised, isolated people. We can be part of the society. And
how do you think that's worked out?
Things worked out great.
Yeah.
No, worked out great. What are you talking about? Look at Jews in America. Who's more successful than us in America as a people?
Economically?
Yeah, I mean,
politically, I don't know.
Compared to the Irish who came in mass or the Italians who came in mass.
There have been Irish presidents, no Jewish presidents.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to get there.
Sure we are. What are you talking about? You don't think we'll have a Jewish...
No.
You know something?
I told you why. Because we won't vote for them.
Yeah, but there's not so many of us. Who cares? The real question is, will we fund their campaigns?
That's true, but I don't think not during my lifetime. I don't think we'll see it.
Oh, I think we'll see it. A Jewish president? Why not? We got black president.
Because Israel.
What's Israel going to do with the Jewish president?
We know nothing, but a ton of people would think otherwise.
Yeah, maybe,
I've been reading the comments again.
Maybe, could be, but you know what? First of all, I don't really care. You know,
if there's a Jewish president?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem so significant. I mean, frankly, when
it'd be cool, but I'm sure it wouldn't be like, you know, for African Americans when Obama became president.
Yeah, I mean, if when Obama became president, it was a landmark. Okay,
right.
It definitely represented something, but you know that thrill lasted for one night, and then it was business as usual. Okay, it's president.
Do you think there were people when Obama was president who were shocked that it was kind of business as usual?
I don't think so. I think he said it. He said it when he got elected. He's like, okay, I get what's going on. He goes, but believe me, tomorrow everyone's going to wake up and I'm going to be the president. I got a job to do and I'm going to be judged based on the job I do. And I know that. I get it. He understands, I can't ride on the fact that I'm the first black president and expect that to help me in any way. And I think most people understand that's unfair to be opposed to him and his policies just because he's black. I think, for the most part, people judge him based on the job he does as president.
Oh, no, I meant...
Black, white, indifferent,
I was wondering if black people thought, finally we have someone in the White House, we're going to get heard, and then when it turned out to be business as usual 6 months later, they went, wait a minute, what happened?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if that was a realistic thing to think, but I've always wondered that. If they were like, what? I thought things were going to be different, and they're not.
Yeah, I can't say that I've discussed this with any black
Me
folks
neither.
or that I've read any black commentary to know. So it'd be purely speculation. But I would think that black folks in America are savvy enough to understand what the political position of the president is and have realistic expectations.
How many, percentage-wise, Americans, black, white, whatever, do you really think are savvy enough to understand the presidency and its limitations and the position he's in?
No, I'm not talking about, understanding the limits of political power and how government works. I'm talking about being savvy enough to understand the social dynamic at work here. I mean, if we had a Jewish president, I'm smart enough to know that a Jewish president's not going to come in blazing, guns blazing and be, I'm all Israel, 100% Israel, screw the Arabs, I understand he's going to work very hard to take a balanced approach.
I would expect the
opposite.
I would expect him to bow to the scrutiny and...
No, yeah, that's cynical. You could be right, but it's cynical.
Think I'm right.
You're probably right.
I don't think it's cynical. I think it's realistic. I think he would be constantly fighting the perception that he would be favoring Israel. And he'd have to go out of his way not to.
Right. That's happened plenty of times in other places. I mean, they had Jewish heads of state after the Enlightenment in Europe. Yeah. In England, they had... well, he wasn't Jewish; he was a convert. They had like Disraeli, and
did France have a Jewish prime minister?
Leon Blum, a Jewish prime minister, and I mean, I'm no expert on their policies and whatnot, but I think it's safe to say that they did not use all the power at their disposal to help their people and support their people. Right. That because they had to represent all the people they represent. Yeah. I mean, I don't expect a black president to be the president of the blacks. He's the president of the United States of America. He represents the whole country.
I wonder, though, if a certain percentage of people thought that's how it was going to be. I'll bet a certain percentage of people on both sides thought it.
They laid that same trip on Kennedy when he became president.
Right, you're Catholic president.
A Catholic president, and it's interesting that when Mitt Romney was running...
No Mormons?
I didn't hear anyone say anything about the
fact I did. All I heard was just ridicule. No, really? Nothing real, but just ridicule that he was Mormon.
What's interesting is, here, Mitt Romney, a Mormon's running for president of the United States of America, and at the same time, the Book of Mormon is playing on Broadway. A more kind of profane...
Season. Sure, and Big Love was on at the same time, too.
Yeah, exactly. This is great country, man. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, that's all good stuff.
Shoot, what was I going to say, though?
You're going to say...
I was going to say...
it's probably easier to be a black president than Jewish president.
I know what I was going to say.
You know why it's easier to be a black president than Jewish president? Because everyone knows that the blacks in America are the persecuted underclass, and they never got a fair shake. And there is no black power structure out in the world that can somehow embarrass, black people or put a president in an awkward quandary because he's somehow on the wrong side of the political 8-ball by supporting a black cause. Not so with Jews in Israel. Israel's like politically loaded, and any
plus,
Jewish president.
I can't tell you the number of times I've read somewhere that there is a perception that Jews will be loyal to Israel first and America second.
Right. Black president doesn't really have that problem, does he?
Right.
Because what do you mean? I'm going to be loyal
to Zimbabwe?
Who am I being loyal to? It's like, hey, excuse me. When you've walked around 50 years in my black skin, you can tell me, what my values should be, but don't tell me. I'm not up here.
They can do that.
Funneling money.
You cannot walk. Yeah. I think it's pretty complicated.
Oh, it's complicated.
And I wanted to talk, I guess, more about cultural assimilation. I mean, I'm talking about the most surface things in the world. I'm talking about
like Jews like baseball.
Right.
Jews love baseball.
But I don't know if that's an attempt at assimilating, because they don't love it in the way that non-Jews love it. They love it in a completely different way. It's really bizarre. They love it like...
right.
They love it more like people that don't play. Like literary guys love it.
Right.
Not like, it's another sport that I really like. Baseball, football, basketball, sure.
Right. No, it's America's favorite pastime.
It used to be. Baseball?
Yeah.
Nah, not anymore. It used to be. Football is America's favorite pastime for the next few years until it turns into boxing.
Right.
And then probably...
MMA.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the downfall will be like boxing, where no one with money will let their kids do it anymore.
Oh, so you think football's going to...
Eventually, once people... I mean,
there's enough brain injuries out there.
In 20 years, nobody in our generation is letting their kids play. No one... I shouldn't say no one, but no one in our generation and social strata is letting their kids play football. Granted, we're Jews.
Right.
But non-Jews are doing the same thing because they don't want their kids into vegetables.
Well, it's a serious concern.
It is.
What kind of,
It's for real, but it'll end up like boxing where, yes, going in, you stand a risk of becoming vegetable, but how else are you going to make money?
Yeah, I mean, boxing I think is a little different because it's
crooked?
No, it's an individual competition. A boxer stands alone, goes in the ring. It's one-on-one, man-on-man.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's usually the domain of
whatever
impoverished people.
Whatever's the most recent immigrant class, basically. It was us in like the 30s, 20s and 30s.
Right.
Max Baer, Sr.
Yeah, now it's Latinos, right?
And Russians.
Oh, really?
And Vietnamese.
Yeah.
Southeast Asians. But it is similar in that you're making that sort of...
my cousin's a boxer.
That's right. Ex-kickboxer, right?
That's right. Well, yeah, but he runs a boxing gym.
Yeah. But you're making that same sort of Faustian bargain where you're like, yeah, this is a way I could make more money than ever thought possible. But I might end up...
Those guys don't make any money.
Boxers or football players?
Either, really.
They make them.
Wait, how many professional football players are there in the NFL? A couple of hundred?
Hang on, 1,500.
1,500.
Yeah.
How many people play football all across America? In grammar school, high school, college?
Dude, if you're an athlete...
Hundreds of thousands?
Let me speak as an assimilated Jew.
Okay.
If you're participating in those sports and you have any level of success, you think you're the one who's going to make it. I totally think I thought I was going to play professional baseball, even though I was so in high school and barely, like an inning in college.
Whatever, maybe that's your dream, but the fact is
that's everyone's dream.
What I'm saying is, if you got hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of people playing the game, and only 1,500 rise to the ranks of high-paid professionals, it's pretty hard to argue that the whole motivation for participating in the sport is making a buck. And the whole reason that it'll eventually go by the
it's not just making a buck; it's getting famous and being a big man.
I think people
basketball's worse than any. All those guys think they're going to be the one. They're going to all be Michael Jordan, and they all wash out.
You know what? I used to practice a sport when I was younger for a while.
Yes.
And I did it for the love of the game.
But your sport was martial arts, right?
Yeah. I didn't think I was going to make anything of it. I didn't compete. I didn't compete for money.
Well, that's you. I'm telling you.
Well, I don't think anyone.
If you talk about the big,
did.
it's not one of the big three sports, or four if you talk about hockey too.
Oh yeah, you walk down the street. There's a karate studio on every single corner.
Great, there's a karate studio in every corner. I'm talking about these multi-billion-dollar industries.
So you're saying that people who play football basically think that they're in some kind of feeder on their way to the NFL?
Yes, and basketball.
The kid playing
Baseball, not
Pop
as
Warner
much.
football.
If he's any good,
the
yeah.
high school football player. That's,
Yes.
Okay.
They do. Little baseball, not so much because there's minor leagues and everyone
And
washes
you're
out
coming
much
to
younger.
this opinion based on your personal experience, not a survey of the millions of people who play, football or anything like that, right?
I consume a lot of information about sports.
Okay.
I listen to sports radio. I read about it constantly. I follow all the big
So
sports.
you and your little clique of like-minded people are all feeding off of
It's
each other,
not a little
convincing
clique.
yourself.
Why does this upset you so much?
Yeah, I'm just being argumentative for the sake of the podcast.
Yes, you are.
I don't
My
accept
little
the premise.
clique
I don't accept the notion that people are participating in amateur sports because
To
they
keep
intend
going.
to become professional. I believe that people
Oh.
participate in amateur sports because they enjoy it.
Really?
And,
Okay.
and I'm sure there's a portion
No,
of
I
them
think
who
they
would like to
they
make a
love
career
it.
of it.
They love it, but I think you don't know how that works
All right.
because
That
they
could be true.
all want to play professionally. Why do you
Well-
think parents get so wound up at little league games? It's not just the kids anymore; it's the
Because of
parents. They think their
spasms.
kids are going to get money. They think they're, and if you look at
Let's
let's look at a guy.
The same reason that parents go in and write nasty letters to their kids' school teachers for giving them bad
Right,
grades.
because they think their kid's going to go to Harvard and be a CEO. Let me give you an
I don't think
example.
that's true, but okay.
Let me give you an example.
Okay.
You ever heard of Allen Iverson?
No, of course not. I don't know anyone.
Okay, he was a basketball player. The Answer, that was his nickname. And he was great.
Okay.
But he said from about age 12, he had been singled. He grew up in Hampton Roads, Virginia.
Uh-huh.
Horrible neighborhood, but he had been singled out by age 12. Leave him alone. Don't bother. No one gave him any trouble.
This guy's a star.
This guy's a star. And it panned out. But, have you heard of Ed O'Bannon, the guy who's suing the NCAA right now?
No.
Singled out the exact same way. Went to
Yeah.
UCLA. Was a star. Didn't pan out. Now sells cars in Las Vegas.
So is that why he's suing?
Now, actually, he's suing the NCAA because they use him as, they make like some video game, NCAA basketball, and they use his image.
Uh-huh.
This is Ed O'Bannon. But he doesn't get any money for that. So he wants money for that.
You don't own your image.
It's interesting. It's an interesting case. I don't have any feelings about it at all. On the one hand, I'm like, oh yeah, well shoot, that's you, and you didn't get any money for it anyway. On the other hand, as I'm on the cusp of paying a buttload of money for college, I realize that an athletic scholarship is actually worth a fair amount of money.
That I could get behind. Yeah.
And if you use it to graduate and move on, then it's money well spent. If you use it to think you're a professional athlete for 3 years and then do nothing, it's not money well spent.
Well, if you go to college and then you use your college education.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If you don't use it, if you never
I
go
thought
to
you meant
class,
like if you use it and you don't go into professional sports.
no, that's what I'm saying. If you're an athlete on scholarship, it's there for you. Although they are under a way more, I was going to say pressure, but I think time limitations than regular college students are.
Meaning?
They practice a lot.
Oh yeah, sure.
And they go away to games. They go to bowl games. They say a bowl game's like in the middle of December. Well, it's not break.
Yeah, this is interesting. At my daughter's new school, where she'll be going in September, it's a big sports school, and they've got a dedicated
Which school is she
building.
going to?
University of Oregon.
Oh, that daughter.
Yeah, and they got a dedicated building for the athletes.
The dorm where they live?
They got their own dorm
Yep.
with their own facilities where they've got special tutors,
Yep.
academic coaches, and things like that.
Yeah.
So the school is really supporting their athletes and making sure that
Well,
they're
those
successful.
athletes have made a buttload of money for that school.
Oh, and that stadium they got there is
Yep.
really remarkable.
You think she'll get into that? Will she be going to games and stuff?
Yeah.
It's a really big deal. Oregon's a weird
You
school
might want to have her on the show, by the way.
to talk about.
Well, she might be
She's
able
got to be nicer than me
answer
the last
back to
time I saw her.
What do you expect? She's 17 years old. Do you expect nice? How nice is your son?
Actually, he's pretty nice when people come over. He's not nice,
Nice
to
to
me.
you?
No.
Maybe it's something you're doing wrong.
Well, obviously.
Maybe if you'd worn the proper shoes today and
Or a
had a
belt.
belt,
Hadn't thrown my iPod in the dryer, the washer. God, it's sitting in a thing of rice right now. Not only am I not going to get my iPod working, but I wasted some rice.
Yeah, that's
What a waste of... And it was arboreal rice, too. It wasn't like minute rice or anything. It's all we had.
Wow.
I know.
That's a commitment.
Well, I think sports is an interesting lens through which to view this because
Well,
that was
makes one of
my...
us.
That was... You brought it up.
Tell me,
That was my entree to the mainstream world.
was for sports?
Through sports, yeah.
You were that Nebuchadnezzar Jew in Santa Cruz until you discovered sports.
Could have been, yeah. I discovered sports when I was like 9, and I was horrible at them, but I worked really hard and became okay at them.
And that was your way out.
At
of
what
the
cost?
shtetl.
Who knows? That was my way out of the shtetl. But you see the Nebuchadnezzar people, and I would never do it here, but I can think of people that we've known who have been that Nebuchadnezzar, who are just crazy smart and successful.
Well, yeah.
And somehow they don't care that they're Nebuchadnezzar.
No, they go together. I mean,
being smart and successful and Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a certain
you don't
type
want to be
of...
Nebuchadnezzar and not smart and successful.
Right, because then you're just a pain in the ass. Right,
yeah.
No, I mean, there's definitely the personality type of these people who are just such brainiacs that they're completely unaware of the trivialities that most people, deal with in their day-to-day living.
Like Bill Gates managed to achieve that level of nebbishness without even being Jewish.
Right, exactly. Bill Gates, fine example. Okay. I mean, I don't know Bill Gates, but I'll just make a caricature.
Let's speculate like crazy.
Don't know how to
Bill
dress.
Gates. Doesn't remember to take a shower.
Doesn't remember to take a shower. Doesn't have good taste in music. Doesn't understand the typical social nuances that go on.
Doesn't care.
It doesn't really care.
Yeah.
But is really interested in what's going on in the space program and knows all about what's going on in biotechnology. Is really fascinated by physics and all these things.
What's funny about him is I would say he's not defined by his interests so much as his ability to have single-minded pursuit of them. Not be distracted by stuff I wear
Bill
ridiculous
Gates
glasses.
because he's in a class all
because
the
he's the
time.
Michael Jordan of computers.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we just hold him up because he seems to be like a nerdy
maybe he's a bad
representation of your
example.
typical nerd, and what you're talking about here is the Nebuchadnezzar Jew with the hyper-intelligent, with no social graces, as being kind of this, super nerdy type. And what I'm saying is those types are people with IQs of 160 who are focused on things entirely different than most ordinary people.
Yeah.
And
not always, but
except the one thing, the commonality of interest is baseball. That's what we're saying here. No, that's what we're saying here.
I hate
that's
talking about baseball with those guys, though.
Yeah, because all they know is the stats, right?
I know the stats. I was a stat freak.
Yeah, but then they're
doing,
chi-squared distributions in their head.
Here's what it usually boils down to when you talk to them about baseball.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll get to the point where there's something they can't fathom because they never played. There's something, it's either something about some feeling you have while playing, or it's something about the people that you play with that they could never understand. A lot of them, because of where we live, happen to be San Francisco Giants fans.
Yeah.
And I feel like they project onto the San Francisco Giants, where they think they're not just a baseball team. They are a validation of me because they're made up of really interesting, fun, special guys, not like those other teams.
But that's what people do. Okay, you're dialed in something important here. Okay, when
that's a relief.
When people, any people, but we'll say our people in particular, when they assimilate, they basically lose the comfort of their ethnic group, the comfort of belonging to an identified ethnic group. And
Story of
now,
my life.
they, even though you're not supposed to, now we're all supposed to be one people, people really want to differentiate themselves and belong to a group. So at least in America, and apparently elsewhere in the world, what they do is they simply create communities that are identifying with different groups. Your baseball team.
Right.
It's very, your brand, whatever it may be, your hobby, your club. So, I'm a Moose. I belong to the Moose Lodge.
So are you saying that all
I
those
drive,
things...
a BMW.
Are you saying that those things are stand-ins for something that's natural, which is to hang out with people like you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what we call pop culture here in America.
Yeah.
People identify with their team. They will come to blows. They will kill each other because of their loyalties to their teams.
We all, you walk around with a bunch of guys our age. What do you mean I'm common? We all watch the same episode of the Brady Bunch.
Right.
I will say
that's a little different, though, because now you're talking about a collective experience. What I'm talking about is an identification with something.
I'll tell you what, those guys who are projecting onto professional athletes are wrong. They're not like you.
Of course they're wrong.
And that kind of makes me mad, because whenever there's an explosion over something a professional athlete said that is offensive, I'm always like, well, you've never been in a locker room.
Right. What do you think?
What do you think happens there?
Why do you think that this 24-year-old, guy should have any sort of insight Other than, better than the insight you've got into
About
this world in
sports,
which you
right.
live or anything. I mean, why would
Exactly.
you even care what his opinion is? I mean,
Why
that's,
are you surprised that a 24-year-old who didn't go to college and has been playing sports his whole life is unenlightened?
Yeah.
What are you expecting of this poor
Right.
guy?
What do you? But you say the same thing for anyone in any form of entertainment. Why do people listen to Beyonce or Roger Waters?
I have the slightest idea.
Mel Gibson or
You know, it's
Pete
interesting.
Townsend.
I was just thinking about that today because I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about what a horrible person Michael Jordan is.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I thought he was
Terrible
great.
person. They said in his Hall of Fame induction, he invited the guy. So famously, Michael Jordan
Right. I saw this. I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
he
I
got
saw
cut from his high school basketball team.
Uh-huh.
He invited the guy who made it, just because screw you, guy who made it. Look at me
Right.
now. I'm in the
Yeah.
Hall of Fame. But they were saying, these guys, in order to get to this point, all those athletes, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, not LeBron James, they're saying, they have to be this way. Jerry Rice, horrible guy.
Why do they have to be horrible?
Single-minded pursuit of perfection, I guess. But then if you expand, in Hollywood's probably the same thing. Why do we listen? They're probably worse people than most of us.
From the very minimal time I've spent in LA, I can tell you what I've observed. That is, Hollywood's a business where the product they make is all about personality. It's the personalities in the movies, on the TV
Right,
shows
you don't have to be a great
that
actor.
sell the product.
Got to be a
Right.
likable actor.
Right. Brad Pitt sells your movie. If you can't get Brad Pitt, you're just not going to sell as many tickets. That's all there is to it. What that means is if you are Brad Pitt, you have an enormous ego. And everyone wants to buy you and buy your talents.
Right.
So they're all going to stroke your
So
ego.
we can't
and
really
kowtow
expect
to you.
them to have any idea of what goes on in the world either.
Right. They're in these bubbles.
And yet,
everyone's stroking
they
their
talk about
egos.
it anyway.
Right, and then we give them a platform, and people
Yeah.
actually believe that what they have to say is intelligent, interesting, and has some kind of value. Where really the people you should be listening to, in my opinion, are people like the president.
Yeah.
Who is, like his politics or not, a man who's risen to high position based on his merits.
Right.
And has delivered a message that resonates with so many people, they actually invest their trust and confidence in him to represent and lead us. Again, I don't necessarily support the president and everything he does. I have
You're
my
talking
own
about the
politics.
office.
But I'm talking about the office of
Yeah,
the president,
yeah.
or any of our leaders. If someone puts themselves on the line and stands up in front of everyone and says, I have a vision for our society and I'm going to work to make it happen, and it resonates with you and you put your trust and confidence in him, that's who you should be listening to
Right.
and trusting and supporting, not, Brad Pitt or Michael Jordan. Who are those guys? Michael Jordan plays a game for a living. We've rewarded him because he can jump high
Right.
and run fast.
His one thing that he does better than everyone else happens to be worth $36 million a year.
Yeah, but it's entertainment.
Right, it's just entertainment. It's going to be gone tomorrow.
Right, and maybe he is an excellent leader and maybe does good things,
Nah,
returns
he
value.
wasn't.
Some of them do. They go back to their communities
Sure,
and set up,
sure. Some of
should
them
they do
do.
charitable works and
Yes,
stuff?
some of them are really good guys.
And then you got like the Lance Armstrong types.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, good guy or not, whether he does good or not, you shouldn't invest
What you're
too
saying
much
is,
confidence
that
in the
position that he's
personality.
in shouldn't necessarily lead to us listening to him.
You don't even know who these people are.
Right.
Oh, by the way, what I just said doesn't apply to Larry and me.
They don't know who we
You
are.
should listen to
Oh,
the
yeah.
show and you should believe what we have to say. Because we're just ordinary guys. We're not in it for the
Totally
money here.
ordinary guys.
Although Larry would like to get paid. I think it's fair to say.
Cool, only because I don't get paid for doing anything else.
Well,
Wouldn't mind to get a little paid, buy my own iPod. You know what I'm saying? My
no.
own shoes that are not matching what I'm wearing. God, that's frustrating.
Not sure what you mean by that either, but that's okay.
Well, I was going to say that, there have been times since we left the fold, since my child left Brandeis,
Yeah.
that I have missed the comfort of knowing there was a place I could go where there were people like me at a certain core level. Not like me in a lot of ways, but in some ways,
People like you.
people who reminded me of my parents a little bit, my cousins.
Yeah, people like you would be your parents and your cousins and other people that
Right.
you're related to. Yeah.
Yeah. People that you got some weird thing in common with.
And by extension, it would be your people.
Yeah.
Right? You're like your family.
Right.
And then you've got your extended family, and then
It's
you've
such
got
a
your people.
it's such a tug of war, though, at least for me, and I think that's mostly because of nature. No, that's because of nurture, not nature. Because of how I grew up, surrounded by. You want to talk about Jew as other? Grow up in Orange County.
Yeah, I get that, but there's the phenomenon of well, for lack of a better term, the self-hating Jew. There's a rejectionist element within our national psyche.
Right.
Okay, that we're somehow
it's so
against ourselves.
But it's so complex, though. We've talked about self-hating Jews in a very specific way.
Yeah.
But I almost think the concept of self-hating Jew, unless you're a Jew who goes out of his way to do things that are bad for the Jews, it's not as simple as being self-hating. It's more like ambivalence and struggle, I would say, which is part of what my book's about, if it ever comes out.
Do you have a title?
The Rabbi Has Left the Building.
There you go, folks.
It's ambivalence and struggle, I think. It's trying to make sense of it and figure out where you stand and where you belong, and being part of this group that is still, in my opinion, on the outside, makes it a little harder when all you want to be is on the inside. Like, I've thought, you and me, like, we have the same opinion about what people would consider the beautiful people,
Mm-hmm.
but you give them a middle finger and I beg them to let me join.
I'm not so interested in trying to claw my way into any.
No, you're not at all
ever.
interested in trying to claw your way
it's like
into
I'm
society.
quite comfortable standing alone, and
Right.
I've always been a loner, so it's not really such a problem. But the thing about self-hating Jew, that's something I have thought about quite a bit, and I try to reject that 100% and really.
But in your opinion, what's a self-hating Jew involve? What do you hate when you're a self-hating Jew?
There's self-hating Jews. They hate everything Jewish. They hate religion. They hate Jewish holidays. They hate the Nebushes you're talking about. They hate Israel. They hate other Jews. And even though they might be in the midst of Jewish society and going through all the motions of going to synagogue and doing all these things, they still basically have nothing but disdain and contempt for all the attributes of our culture and everything that we are.
So is that a self-hating Jew or a Jew-hating Jew?
Yeah. The same thing.
Basically,
self-hating Jew isn't saying I hate myself because I'm Jewish. A self-hating Jew is looking at the Jewish people and basically only seeing ugliness and badness.
Right.
And by the way, let me put this in context. Self-hating Jew is a known. It's a known entity.
Right.
Okay.
Sure.
People
it's an
know
accepted
what
term.
we're talking about.
Right.
But if you look around, there's Americans that got the same Mishugas. I know so many Americans. They hate America.
Right.
They hold our country in contempt. They don't see any of the beauty or upside of America.
Do you wonder though, since we're sort of, and I don't want to generalize, but we seem to tend more toward self-analysis, reflection, and ambivalence, that we're more likely to be self-hating Jews than any other group would be self-hating themselves?
I think that's fair. A
Yeah.
fair thing to say. But I think in general that
I think more of us grapple with who we are than Presbyterians do.
Right. I think that's a Jewish thing. It's I think
Catholics
that's
a
probably
little
Jewish. I don't know.
They're more mad at the church, though, right?
Well, they ought to.
Because stuff that happens.
They ought to be. I mean, look at what happened. I mean, I don't have any desire to denigrate the Catholics, but they have an unaddressed issue in their church, and it needs to be fixed. Now, God willing, the current Pope will deal with it.
Yeah.
But they've allowed their religious leaders to persecute them, and oppress them, at least in some places like Ireland. And I mean, it's just unacceptable that you could have rampant child molestation and child abuse going on in the church without the religious authorities addressing it and rooting it out. And you could have thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people all over the globe who've been abused by their clergy.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you trying to? How are you creating the flocks of the faithful? How are you sheltering your lambs? I mean, yeah. What are you doing? But that's their problem.
Right. We don't want to get too far afield because we're running out of time.
Right. I want to talk about the self-hating Jew concept. Let me just summarize what I realized many years ago, and I had a profound change of life. Okay, because I had this tendency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was a cynical person, and I looked at the human race and what we're doing here on Earth. And I could see only the downside. I'm sure you hear people say this all the time. What are we doing? We're destroying the earth. We're killing off all the species. We're fighting war after war. We commit such horrible atrocities against ourselves and one another's. You know, we produce food that's unfit to eat. We're poisoning, you know, and so on and so on. But here's what I realize. It's like, you know, if you hate humanity, it's just a reflection of hating yourself. This whole all human beings are the same. We all have the same nature. Human nature is absolutely universal. You cannot say, I hate people, and simultaneously love yourself, because you ain't one bit different than all those other people.
You are a person.
Right. You know, it's completely
It's
illogical. But people don't get that. And so there's this whole misanthropic tendency that I see out there expressed on Facebook and in blogs. Oh, we're so bad. Blogs. We're so bad. We're so terrible. And I'm like,
that is exhausting. By the way,
you know, whatever, man.
Every day.
Just take all that and stick it, because you know this beautiful world full of beautiful people, and the Jews are great people. Yeah, we got problems in this world. You know, there's downside to all of our creativity and energy, but I'm just not willing to view the world in that way and to view, you know, humanity in that way. I'm just not willing to do it. And as a Jew, I'm certainly not willing to do it. We got enough people hating us that I'm not going to get in front of the haters, you know. It's like I'm definitely, you know, anti-hater. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we see what happens when I arrive without notes.
Yeah, this week again.
We introduce a topic and we talk about it for about 3 minutes, and then we go off on different tangents, which is fine.
That's why we're here.
But we are out of time for this week.
That was a quickie.
Yeah, Mom, we are estimated 2 weeks away from iTunes.
Woohoo!
It's pretty awesome. I want to thank Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Sam, get home from Israel safely.
Yep, be safe, Sam. Thanks for your texts and posts
and Facebook
and
pictures
from the Holy Land.
Kimmels, Mark Samuelson, who is our only commenter on YouTube. And
Good
just
man.
to throw her a bone, Jamie Kendall, happy birthday yesterday. Thanks for listening. Your son was a joy this weekend, except for the part where he got food poisoning.
Happy birthday, Jamie.
From the Twilight Lounge, we are signing off.